So here it is, January 1st, 2022. Pretty much the last month has been, well, last month. Just say December. Diagnosed with COVID and progressively got worse. Ended up in the hospital on some oxygen. A few days after discharge leading up to Christmas, felt good. Christmas didn't need any oxygen, but then Sunday got a pneumonia, a worsening pneumonia. So put on antibiotics and all that. And so here I am now. I'm feeling decently better. I kind of wore myself out over a couple days and had a bad day yesterday. But here it is. It's not how I wanted to start 2022, but I'll get through it. Some big goals this year, financially. Some things I want to work on for sure. I mean, pretty much anything in my life I want to work on. The big physical goals, the big races in the works, as long as all this other stuff gets better. So, I'm going to see how it goes here. Hopefully within a week I can be back to work, but I don't know how that's going to go. It depends on how much strength I get back, especially with the breathing issue. With it, love to be back to work. I haven't worked since December 3rd was the last day I worked. So it's getting kind of difficult mentally and financially too with it. So right now I'm just sitting in a Walmart parking lot waiting for another prescription to be filled with that. So some things I was thinking about, things I would like to do on the physical aspect of the sides is, one, I've always wanted to drop some weight. Well, guess what? COVID definitely helped that. I've lost 13 pounds since getting COVID with it. And we'll touch on COVID and my thoughts on some of that stuff too. But yeah, 13-pound weight loss. So hey, that's a big jump start with it. That means there's only like 10 more pounds I would truly like to lose with it. But I've lost some muscle mass, and that's going to hurt with it. And I don't know how much fat really I've lost. So that's where I got to work when it comes to that. I'm working on my diet with it. I am using my Fitness Pal to help with that. And see, I went ahead and paid for the premium service and just see if there's any true benefit to doing that compared to free ones. So so that's more on the diet side of things. The other thing looking at physically, so obviously I said losing weight, losing some fat, and leaning down. My goal is to start the 75 hard plan as soon as I can, and I'll delve into that here in the future with it. I do a lot of running typically. The last third of the year, unfortunately, I wasn't able to run much because I had a stress fracture in my tibia, and so that prevented me from my big goal race of the year from doing that. The longest one I did was a 50-mile race called Burning River 50, and that I was basically poorly trained, and I'm pretty sure that's what caused the stress fracture. So ultimately, I got a 100-mile goal set. I've had it for the last 3 years. 2 years ago in 2020, I attempted it, and I quit. I could have kept going. I had it in me. It just was hurting, just was, I don't know, mentally suffering on that. I made it about halfway. on there. So, and of course, it was 2020, so training and races and everything I had planned didn't work out. Well, so again, big goal. I'd like to get a 100-mile race in this year. Still want it to be the no business. Unfortunately, registration opened today, and really don't have the money to sink into that right now. So I'm just gonna have to wait to the wait list, and because it will be probably in the next couple hours, go to a wait list. So I'll have to do the wait list, especially if I'm in the first 3 like I was last year. I'll definitely get in. So that's the big goal. Got some step races up to that in my mind for it. So forget the PR 50K. Hopefully I get feeling good so I can start training for that, because that's April. And that would be my 3rd time yeah, I did it once. Couldn't do it because I sprained my ankle, and then had to do it virtual in 2020. So this would be my 3rd time doing it. I'm going for 5 total to get my gold buckle. Other than that, what else? Some physical, mentally, there's definitely some things to work on. So I am a first responder, and with that, over the years, there's been some things that have built up. I always thought I handled things pretty good, but later here in life, I've realized I haven't. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. So I'm not doing anything negative on that side of things, but maybe it's been more how it's affected my relationships with my wife, with my kids, family, friends, all that stuff with it. And then my son and some of his friends, they're getting into the fire service. So I'm trying to continually talk to them about stuff and not to be afraid to say that they need help compared to how things were for me, and how I was brought up in the first responder field with it, and knowing that no, you just don't get over things. So some things for me to work on and be able to offer support to him and his friends and other people if needed. I'm not really probably the person to be a peer support person, but just to be able to identify and know and just speak about my experiences, I think, with it, as well as figuring out how for me to handle it more positively. I'd always kind of handled it with running and exercise and things like that, but it's not taking care of the root problem. So that's some things to think about and to work on. Financially, everybody can always work on financial things with this. I'm kind of going to be, I need and I will to come up with a better financial plan and hopefully take care of some issues that are starting to crop up that can negatively affect some things here in the future. I am at retirement age, basically. Will have my age and years of service, but I don't necessarily plan on going out unless something here with COVID is going to force that early. So I plan on working a few more years if my body can handle it. So that's that. So just kind of a brief summary here. I want to do this whole thing here and document my journey through everything. Like I said, I'll talk some COVID stuff, my thoughts on it, where I was at, and I can kind of touch on it right now, actually, because really, I was hoping I'd be one of the lucky ones that when I got sick, it would just be like a bad flu with it. And based on certain things I'd read and things like that, I had good chances. when it comes to vaccines, I do believe the data. I do believe the data that they do reduce hospitalizations, they do reduce deaths and all that. But I'm just not sold, especially on the mRNA, the Pfizer and Moderna, with potential long-term issues. But flip side, COVID has potential long-term issues we still don't know about too, most likely. So yeah, for me, it was just like a bad sinus infection to start with. After about 3 or 4 days, I started noticing some difficulty breathing, SATs dropping with that, and then finally ended up in the ER. And they wanted to admit, they said you had a little pneumonia, and I was like, just let me take the antibiotic. I'll try it, I'll get it filled the next day. But overnight, I got worse, so I went back in and stayed like 3 days in the hospital with it. So treatment options that they gave me right off the bat was literally nothing with it. I didn't qualify through my healthcare system to get the antibodies, the mononuclear antibody infusion, because I was healthy. I didn't meet any of the other qualifications and things like that. So on top of that, my wife and my in-laws all got sick at the same time with COVID. They all got it. They got the antibodies. And my father-in-law and my wife did ivermectin as well. My wife, really her symptoms were minor. I think she had it back in January, even though she tested negative. She had positive exposure. And then our 2 kids got sick with it too, and they were fortunate, very minor symptoms with it. And my wife, she had some difficulty breathing and stuff like that, but still had negative tests. So I think that helped a little bit. And then they got sick, so my wife recovered pretty quickly. My mother-in-law, she did too, after the infusion and stuff. But my father-in-law kind of following a similar track to me. He's still recovering a little bit, but he got a Rosuffin injection and the same antibiotics and steroids that I'm taking on the same day. So Monday, a week ago, and he made a huge recovery. He looks great, sounds great, and things like that, besides his other health problems that he's got going on. So, but no, and my father-in-law's on oxygen from time to time too, and he put himself on it during this whole thing. So and then back to me in the hospital. Remdesivir, I'm not sold on that antiviral, especially probably that late into the game. And even the doctor didn't really even sound like he thought it was beneficial at one point. So I don't know. I'm not completely sold for that. But yeah, like I said, progressed a bit off oxygen on Christmas, and then things got worse, like I said. So here I am. I was back in hospital yesterday because I just hit this wall, this plateau, like that felt like. Didn't think like things were getting better. They ruled me out for pulmonary embolism. The CT actually showed what they thought, that the pneumonia was better and that I just was having normal COVID issues in my lungs with it. So they gave me some fluids, a breathing treatment, which I felt like helped a little bit and loosened some things up. And this morning I woke up feeling better. So I may have overdid it on Wednesday and Thursday doing some things, so that Friday I just felt worn out. So lesson learned there with it. So yeah, as to the vaccine, crazy thing is I was finally made my decision that I was going to get a vaccine with it. Looking at everything, I was going to go with Johnson & Johnson. Just some things I'd read, especially for its long-term effectiveness compared to the Pfizer and Moderna. Of course, it's not really well backed by the CDC and all the other places here in America, because it's the rare side effects that occur. But that's the thing that kind of burns me with the other stuff, is they're not releasing that information for several years, actual information with it. So it's hard to say truly what's being reported as vaccine issues, vaccine deaths, and all that. I don't know with it. So that's where I'm hesitant on that. So yeah, I'd finally made my decision and then got COVID. So fun times. So yeah, I think that's is going to be it for now. I'll delve into the 75 hard plan here in the future. If you haven't looked it up, Andy Frisella, I think, 75 hard program, mental toughness, things like that. I'll talk about some other books I've been reading that I have read in the past. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. Impressive guy with that. A little bit radical for some people, but I love the story with it. So yeah, so I'll be delving into maybe listening to podcasts a little more with it. And finding more productive things with my life, hopefully. All right. Signing out. See you next time.